Hello, hello, my fellow art nerds. Welcome in. Happy Monday. We're going to be painting some fantasy landscapes today, so welcome in. Hello, Cult of the Hermits and Zilpha Malix. I don't know if we've met before. Welcome. Thanks for being here on time. And hello, Kelsoon. Yeah, it's art time, guys. So we are going to be drawing some or painting some fantasy landscapes. And for those of you who have voted in the poll, whoops, that was last week's poll. Sorry, one sec. Here we go. Those of you who have voted in the poll suggested that I paint a mysterious lighthouse at sea. I didn't think that one was going to win because that one is like the most basic scene, but I'm glad it won because we can work on some moods and some maybe like a nightscape. So I've just collected some reference here. And if you can hear some strange noises in the background, I got my little puppy in here with me, and he's a bit of a troublemaker, so I gotta keep an eye on him while I'm streaming. He likes to chew on my computer wires, so gotta keep an eye on him. Bingo, what are you doing? All right. So, oh, Elise, welcome. Happy you could make it. Hello, Crazy Dish. And Chaos Chameleon, you've been here for many streams. It's good to see you. Yeah, my dog, he is a Bichon Poo. He's about 5 months old and chews up everything. Anything and everything. So let's see. This is what we're gonna do today. So how many of you guys have tried to draw a landscape or paint a landscape and it just kind of falls a little bit flat? Let me know in the chat if this has happened to you. And you know, what is your biggest point, your biggest pain point when it comes to painting landscapes? Because my plan is to actually show you my process, how I come up with landscapes. I'll walk you through the main ideas, and then we can jump right into a live demo so that you can see how I can apply this in real time. We have 2 hours together, slightly less because I will be doing submissions today, and feature some amazing artwork from the community. But I also want to show you how background painting or coming up with a landscape idea can sometimes take a really, really long time, but what are some ways we can actually make it more efficient? Because a lot of artists get stuck with the idea and then they get stuck kind of, you know, overthinking it, which I do too, and that's a really common problem. So today we're gonna figure out how to close that gap. Let's see what you guys are saying. At least you actually tried to get one. Oh, you actually tried one yesterday. Okay, cool. Crazy Dash, I tried liminal spaces landscape, but it looked more like a kid's drawing. I hear you. It's okay. Clouds are really tough for me. Yeah, clouds can be definitely tricky. Painting in texture for trees and grass, especially grass. Okay. Yeah, texture. You know what? Texture is only really in the, you know, in the foreground and in the details. So you don't have to worry too much about texture, even though we do worry about it. Biggest issues with details and stuff. Okay. Getting perspective right. Totally hear you guys. Okay, so by the end of the stream, hopefully you'll not only feel more comfortable, you know, painting landscapes, but you'll feel more confident in making clear choices, like more intentional choices with your work. So that being said, big shout out to our Discord community, all of you amazing people here live, and our wonderful subscribers who voted on the poll. If you want to be more involved in our videos and our content, you can just subscribe and you'll be able to vote on our polls and tell us what you'd like to see us draw. All right, and if we haven't met, my name is Faye. I'm one of the instructors here at Wing Canvas. I specialize in, I actually do more traditional art, but I specialize in figure drawing. I do paint a lot of landscapes, but mostly in traditional mediums. So this digital art stream is going to be, you know, a way for me to practice getting better and to do some concept art with you together. And we're not just a YouTube channel, we're actually a school of illustration. So you can check out some of our programs at Wing Canvas, and you can check us out at wingcanvas.com. All right, cool. So let's get to it. Hey, Groove, welcome in. No, you're not late. And a big shout out to our wonderful mods, Kyla and Darren, who are here in the chat with us. All right, cool. So first of all, before I do any painting, I like to figure out the mood and collect some references ahead of time. Now, you don't need a ton of references. You really just need some references so that you can start to visualize things. Now, if you're not very good at visualizing things out of your head, that's okay. That just means you need to build up your visual library. So the first thing I do is collect references. Now, I spent a bit of time before stream doing that because I think you guys would rather see me draw than, you know, look for images. But I do like to collect references, and I like to collect them of the what. So what am I painting here? So here I'm painting a nightscape. Ocean, and lighthouse. Okay, so I need to collect images of the ocean at night with a lighthouse. And then when is nighttime, right? Nighttime, night, and then there's something here called, like, you know, you could go through the list: when, what, where, why. The why is really here, is the most important thing, and I'm trying to set a mood. I'm trying to paint something that is very mysterious. So the mood here is mystery. And so when you start to kind of write down what it is you want to do, so let's say somebody commissioned you to paint a background for their character, right? You really have to first of all think about what all of the pieces that you want to put into your painting and why you want to do that. So this picture here is a really cool moody sky. A really cool moody sky. And this is one of my pictures. I took it actually at sunset, right after the sunset, and it was kind of like a cloudy day, but you could still see through the clouds. And I'm not a huge fan of the red, because the red to me feels like sunset, and I want it to feel like in the middle of the night. So I might change the red to green. But this is a personal reference in the mix here. So you want to set the mood, you want to set the tone, and then from the word mystery, what are some things that come to mind? What are some things that come to mind when you think of mystery? I just want to hear some ideas from you guys in the chat. When I say mystery, what do you guys think of? Like, if it was a mystery, would it be set in the night or the day? Probably night, right? If it was a mystery, would there be lots of boats, or would there only be one boat, or would there be no boats? Like, what is in the foreground that you see here? Maybe like maybe something that's like undefined, you know, like undefined thing. Maybe it's a boat, we don't know, in the distance or the foreground. The water is strangely calm. Love it. So strangely calm water. These are great. Shadows. Cool. So night, shadows. Okay. But if there's no light, then there's no shadows. So we have to have some kind of light. Harsh shadows. Okay, maybe glowy eyes. Ooh, that's a scary one. One center light source. Yeah, fog. Fog is great. Okay, shadows. Whoops. Here we go. Shadows, fog. So you can see how one word can inspire so many different ideas, right? Massive figure in the fog. Ooh, a cloaked person. These are so good. These are all really, really good ideas. Glowy eyes. Maybe something magical. How about colors? What colors do you think of when you think of mystery? I'll show you the rest of these. So I found like a shipwreck reference as well. It like, you don't know what it is, but it looks like something has clearly been abandoned, right? So maybe there's some ruins. Maybe there's some clues. What are some clues we could put in the distance? I really love this image here of this lighthouse. This is an actual lighthouse, but I love kind of like the lighting on the rocks here. You can see that the rocks are nice and are wet, right? And there's some fog kind of coming up. So really, really cool imagery. Ship graveyard. Yeah. Ooh. Giant Loch Ness monster. That's cool. That's going into like monster territory. Okay, so let's say Loch Ness monster. That could be really fun. Kyla says purple, dark blues. Yeah, so dark blues, purples. These are great. Ship graveyard. See, I think seeing wreckage and carnage is scarier in a way than like seeing something that's clearly defined, you know, like something that's kind of like blurry is almost more scary than something that you can see. Boats and lots of ominous vibes. Good. Yeah, maybe hints of red. Okay, these are awesome. Thank you guys so much for this brainstorm. I think this is really, really helpful. I don't know what dredge is. Let me Google that. Is that a game? Yeah, it's a video game. Let's look at some dredge backgrounds. Assuming that it is PG. Oh, okay. This is cool. This is cool. So here we go. Thanks for the suggestion. Who was it that said dredge? These are some interesting, definitely interesting ideas here. So you can kind of see, I can see that it also occurs. There's a ship, there's a lighthouse. Okay, interesting. Wow, very cool. I love the action of the birds kind of flying towards something. That's really cool. Birds flying away from something could also be an indication of it being scary. This is beautiful. Very, very cool. Cool. Thank you for that reference. These are actually really, really interesting because like I love the color palette. Like this is pretty eerie. I'm just gonna copy it and add it to my mood board here. Well, that's a big one. So although it's really important to look at images of, you know, other movies and games that you can think of, that's always a really, really good source. Yeah, that unsettling feeling. Exactly. So it's always good to kind of look at how other people have done it, but then also think about what you can do to make it different and what you can do to learn from what was done, but not copy it exactly. Because I think, you know, copying is one thing and it's fine if you're learning, but you also want to start to assemble a whole bunch of different images and then pick and choose what you like out of it. So Groove 9899, thanks for this reference. It's a really, really good one. Okay, so the next thing that I would do, so after we collect our references, so first thing, we're going to collect our references. And then the second thing is we're going to do some color swatches. So I really like choosing colors for my artwork, and there's a few different ways you can choose colors, and I'm just going to show you really quickly. If you go here and you search for like mysterious color palette, right? You can kind of just see that there are palettes that are pre-chosen. And you can sometimes see the source of how they were chosen. So you can see like this palette here was chosen from an image itself. This one is kind of like, it shows you how it can be applied to make something beautiful like roses look kind of spooky and creepy, right? So this is a really cool palette. This is a complementary palette with like the green and red. And this palette can really make somebody uneasy, right? Like this is super, super spooky. Yeah, almost like definitely like Grim Reaper type of palette, but I like it. I also like this Twilight Charm. This is also a complementary palette. So complementary palettes, aside from the blue and the blue and orange combination, blue and orange can usually look pretty good together, but the other palettes like the purple and yellow and the red and green, those can be more difficult to use, so those can definitely be more challenging. So a couple of things you could do is you could start to collect some color swatches that you like, right? So this is part of the planning process. This eventually will save you a lot of time. Oh, zombie palettes. Yeah, absolutely. I welcome your suggestions. I think your suggestions are awesome. Imagine seeing the silhouette of Godzilla with glowing blue eyes and glowing dorsal plates in the fog. Wow, that's fun. Zombie palettes is also a good one. This to me feels like a zombie palette. Like this is definitely I'm definitely taking this as an example. Zombie vibes for sure. If you don't actually do this planning exercise when you're conceptualizing, then you're really leaving a lot up to chance and maybe not being as efficient as you could be. When you start to plan things out, you kind of build a better picture in your head, right? You're almost like it's like you're collecting references and palettes ahead of time so that you can make better decisions moving forward. So I liked Twilight Charm. I liked this palette. I also like this Nighttime Rose and Ghost Whisper. That's a cool one too. So I'm just gonna take a few of these, and you can also look at images from movies. So for example, like this is from a horror movie, and you can see the breakdown of the palette is it's complementary, but it's very monochromatic with just a touch of the red, right? And it kind of makes this very spooky palette. So those are really, really good ways of collecting references. So I want to go for something a little bit more analogous. Like in my head, it was really supposed to be like purples and blues and greens. But here I am, collecting other samples that I like, because you never know what's going to work. And if you paint digitally, you can definitely change the colors around very quickly. So if I compare all of these, I definitely think that the last one is not it. It's not really as close as I want it to be. And you can see that this one over here is kind of in this range, right? It's kind of in this wheelhouse. So the color palette that I had in my head was going to be this neon green. Like this was the one that I was thinking of, and I'm going to add it to the mix here. It was going to be like this kind of green, almost like this yellowish. So like maybe not so bright, maybe like this. And then maybe the green is also a little bit more yellow. So kind of like this. And I wanted it to have a little bit of this blue. So bright. It's like when you see it on the color wheel and then you actually put it on the palette, it looks so different. So I was thinking about like this kind of range. And I'm going to choose a purple color. Almost like a midnight kind of purpley. Like I was thinking somewhere in here. Like I want it to be bright and saturated, but also scary and eerie. If that makes sense. Like I don't want it to be dull. I wanted it to be bright. So in my head, this is kind of like what I was thinking. But we're going to test them all out and see which one works best. Okay, just catching up with the chat. Groove, you feel you don't really brainstorm pieces before you make them. Maybe you should. Yeah. I think it's helpful to think about what will work and what won't work and seeing them on paper before you commit to something. You were thinking, so Crazy Dash suggested adding reflections of people in the water, but no one else is there. Oh, that's a great idea. Ah, that's a really cool one. We'll see what we have time for. So you see what a good landscape does? A good landscape can really, really spark ideas, right? All right. So once you have your color swatches figured out, then let's move on to composition. So let me just organize my layers here. I'm going to organize stuff so that I don't lose things. Just put all my references in one folder here and then group this together. I'm gonna group this into a color layer. And that way I can easily turn off different elements. These are my notes. Turn on and off my notes. You know how many streams I had to do to actually get things on the right layer? Let's hope I keep this up. Okay. 3. Now let's work on some comps. Okay. Composition. Oh, before I forget, let me write down your suggestion. Reflections of things that aren't there. Oh, that's so creepy. Okay. Comps. So when I say compositions, I mean like really quick ideas on how you want stuff laid out. So I'm thinking it would be like a wide landscape like this. I was thinking that the water could be really, really still. And maybe I would show... I feel like I want to show more of the sky. But I can try one where I see more of the rocks and one where I see more of the sky. And then we can decide which one is better. So if I wanted to see more of the water, maybe I would put the horizon line up here. I really like the idea of the light tower kind of like here, and I like the idea of it being on, like, I don't know if you can see this reference, but I like the idea of it being on like a cliff that's kind of deteriorated, you know, that's like very like it's being washed away by the waves here. And it's like very difficult to go up this tower. It's got this like very dangerous sort of rocky cliff, and it's in the middle of this cliff here. And then, you know, I kind of want to see the rays of light, and the rays of light are more visible when it is foggy. You know, that's why at concerts and stuff they will use a fog machine. Funny enough, I actually learned recently that I'm allergic to fog juice. It's this stuff called propylene glycol, and it's in everything, like in cosmetics and everything, but it's actually the main ingredient of fog juice. So I'm like, oh, okay, great, now I can't go to fun concerts anymore. Anyway, so this is just an idea of what it would look like. I also really like the slippery cliffs. So in this composition, I really won't have that much room, but I could try to put it like, I could try to put it somewhere here. You know, maybe it's like, it's in the foreground. And maybe I need it to be, smaller overall. I feel like it's a little big. You know, when the lighthouse is really big, then the ocean looks smaller. So when your subject is bigger, then the environment looks smaller, right? So I want that ocean to look very vast. And maybe there's like a shipwreck, like right here in the foreground. You know, there's some like carnage here. There's some washed up stuff. And the perspective on this rock was weird, was really weird. Yeah, no, it's fog juice. Yeah, it's called propylene glycol. It's in eye drops too. Yeah, it's the stuff that you put in fog machines, you know? I definitely think there should be some clouds in the sky to darken the sky a little bit. And this light tower, the perspective of it is off, so let me just change that. As you move up to the horizon line, you would actually see less and less of the top of this cliff. So I have to work on like the shape of this to make it feel more dangerous. Maybe it's a little smaller. Is that why fog machines smell? Maybe. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so let's see here. So now what we're gonna do, let me just answer some of the questions. Hey, Jack fell down, welcome in. How about the shadow of a massive creature below the water? That would be fun. Yeah. .c3s. That's okay. If you're late, that's totally fine. You can join anytime. Where should you place the horizon line depending on what you want more of? So if you want to see more of the sky, then put your horizon line lower. And if you want more of the water, you can put your horizon line higher. That's usually how how it's done. Now, although I like the shipwreck, I kind of feel like it's less mysterious when you see the shore, right? So I'm gonna try another one with more of like slippery rocks, and maybe I want to show more of the sky. So if I put the horizon line here and I put like the rocks, I'm just kind of following the reference that I see. Let's say there's a few rocks here, and then there's like a lighthouse. I'm actually not going to put the lighthouse on these rocks. I'm going to kind of put it behind here with the same idea, but I'm just moving stuff around. Right, so it would be more like this. And so the cliffs would still glisten. But it would be more focused on the clouds. So here, you know, I can have the clouds in there, and then I can still put the shipwreck here in the foreground. And so this is just me doing a little bit of planning. Until I get a composition that I like. So you're seeing me do it live. You're gonna see me you're gonna see me really just figure it out on the go. And if you can see me do it, then you know that you can do it as well, right? It's just this doesn't have to be it doesn't have to be perfect. It's supposed to be rough. And so I usually do a few comps. Sometimes you nail it the first time, and then sometimes it takes a little bit longer. And then I will, after these comps and before I start, I'm going to share some submissions. Okay, so I really like the moodiness of the sky in the middle picture. And so I'm going to try one here with a different style of clouds. So I was following the clouds in this one, picture number 6, right? I was kind of following the clouds there, as well as the shipwreck, right? But I kind of want to try one with number 3. So in that case, I would kind of like draw these very dramatic sweeping clouds. Right, kind of like, oh, there's a very ominous sky here. Right, these clouds. I do still want to see a little bit of that shipwreck, so maybe it's just kind of like off the corner here. And then the lighthouse can kind of be in the distance. Maybe it's in silhouette. And it's like it's on this big cliff. Maybe it's like here on a cliff. And like you see a little bit of it in the water. And then there's like maybe there's a bit of a land mass over here, but it's almost like the shipwreck is kind of framing it, right? The shipwreck is framing the action. There's some rocks here, and then this is in the distance. So maybe it's like that. And so I kind of like that. I kind of like the very dramatic sky, like the diagonal sky instead of this in number 6. So yeah, I think I'm gonna go with my third comp. I guess I should label them. Let's do A, B, and C. So I like C, and you can see that I've already started doing a value sketch. Yeah, so I'm just gonna catch up with the chat here. Jack fell down. Don't feel sad. You're feeling sad. You drew 3 portraits, 1 realistic, 1 anime, 1 semi-realistic. You shaded the first one with pencil. Tried bad quality colored pencil on the other one. You know what? The fact that you tried is better than like 99% of people who don't try. So if you tried and it was bad, that just means you learned something. Don't feel bad. Feel good about stuff like that. Because you'll look back on it and you'll look back on your bad drawings and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I've improved so much. So hang on to those. I was too embarrassed. I threw away a lot of my bad drawings and now I want to find one to see how much I've improved and I can't. So sign it and keep it. If you want actually to improve on your portraits, the next stream that I'm doing next Monday is a fixing your portrait stream. So if you want to be part of that, you can submit your artwork and you can win a chance to be featured on stream. Yeah, rocks are really hard to draw too. Yeah, I know, Elise, totally know what you mean. What size is my canvas, Elise? Let's see. So this canvas, you can see the rulers up on the side here. It's 3000 by 4000 pixels, and that's about as big as I work. But if depends on if you want to print it, right? If you want to print it, you can go in your Krita and you can go new, and here I have it at 4000 by 3000, but this is in pixels, right? At 72 pixels per inch. So let's say you want to turn this into a postcard and your postcard is 4 by 6. You can just go 4 by 6 at 300 pixels per inch. And you have to select inches here, right? And then 4 by 6, there you go, inches. And then if you hit create, this is the canvas that you're gonna get. So this is vertical, but if you go into image and you go resize canvas, you can switch this back to pixels. And so you can see that something that's 4 by 6 at a printable size is going to be 1200 by 800 pixels. So that's kind of how I would calculate the size of something. I would calculate how big I want it printed, right? So 3000 pixels by 4000 pixels. If I change that to inches, just if you're curious, it would be 10 by 13. So if you work at 4000 by 3000 pixels, you can print it at a pretty decent size. Hopefully that made sense. Yeah. You guys have really cool ideas. An evil lighthouse. I love that. I love that. Very, very cool. All right, cool. Guys, your ideas are so good. An evil lighthouse. I think I like that one a lot. I'm gonna put this down here. An evil lighthouse. So cool. Okay. So I like C. I do want it to be an evil lighthouse. Do I want a figure in the foreground? Maybe. You know, we can always experiment and see if it warrants something. You know, I feel like as soon as you have a person in it, that mystery is a little bit weaker for some reason. So, okay, so you guys have seen my ideas. So now the process would be I turn everything off except for my composition here that I like. So I'm going to copy this. I'm going to put that on a new layer. And I'm going to turn everything else off. Put that here. Okay. And then now what I can do is I can try out some of these color palettes, right? So let's see. Let's copy this comp and bring it over here. And then let's just test out some of these color palettes. Let's see. So I'm just going to, I really should organize my layers here. So let's do C2 as my comp 2. I've selected the composition here, right? And then I can just kind of give it a background color. So let's say, and I'm using my mouse here for you guys who can't see me. So I'm going to select this purple, actually this darker one here, and just fill that in. Then over here, I'm going to put this on color. And right now it's just coloring the lines. So now what I can do is that if I go back to my color comp and I want to darken things, then I can just do that with values. So let's say I take a gray here, and I just start to block things in. So let's say I start to kind of paint in the clouds. Notice that I'm using gray. Okay, I'm not actually using a color, I'm using gray. But since I'm working underneath that color layer, everything that I paint is going to kind of take on that color, which is very cool. So you can do value studies super quickly. Okay, so there's my value study. And then the lake is going to have some of that reflection, or sorry, the ocean, have some of that reflection showing up. And then put the stuff that's in the foreground, make it really, really dark. Right, maybe there's some like wreckage here. Maybe some like floating stuff. So you can see that it's like a shipwreck. Or a ship graveyard. Somebody said ship graveyard. I was like, that's so good. Okay. Okay, so this is really rough, as you can see, but it just kind of gives you an idea of the mood and the color. So, and this is kind of what concept artists would do too, you know? They would just kind of figure it out at a very small size so that, and I don't want anything in the background there. You'd figure it out at a very, very small size so that you're not investing all this time into figuring it out later. You're figuring it out early. And then this would be the light. So there'd be like a little bit of there'd be like a little bit of light coming through this way, right? And then the light would actually follow in the water. And then I can go to my color layer here, my C2, and then I can start selecting the other colors. So if I wanted this, I can go in and just make sure that I'm on the color layer and it's going to affect everything, right? So I can go in and paint in some of the other colors just like quickly so you can see what it would look like. Then I can use my yellow here for my lights. Right, it might be a little bit too warm here. Like this, I don't think this almost feels like hope. It feels like hope in the middle of this ocean, this warm light. So it's not really the right mood. And I'm glad I kind of tried it out, right? Before I invested all this time. So this is kind of how you would do that. All right, so then I can kind of turn that off. I can still have my value study, right? But I'm going to turn this off and I'm going to do another one. So turn that off. I'm going to try one with, I'm going to call this C3. And I'm going to try one with another palette and see if I like it. So the first thing is I'll fill it in with like the mid-tone color. So let's do this zombie palette here. So let's fill this in, put this on color, and then I can kind of use this blue color here to then, you know, add some highlights. So there's some blue kind of peeking out through the sky. And then some of these darks. Like, it's okay, I guess. It's a little better than the other one, right? Like you can kind of turn on and off the mood. It's a little bit better. But it's still not exactly what I wanted. But you can kind of see how this would save you a lot of time, right? You don't want to paint this over and over again. Okay. So next I'm going to try the this palette here, which is like really bright, and see how that works. I'm going to color the whole thing in, go back in. Let me know if you guys do this. Have you guys ever done this to kind of check it out, right? Yes, this is Krita. This is Krita. I've used a lot of different programs to paint, but I still feel like Krita is after learning it, like there's still lots I have to learn. But I think that it's a very versatile program. I like it a lot. Yeah, I can do most of what Photoshop does. Like it's not very good with text. I would say that's probably one thing that I don't like about it, is the text. Okay, so here's another version of it. I really wanted this like neon light to be coming from the lighthouse. This is really what I had in mind before I started looking at the other examples. But I don't know if it's too pretty. Like, is this too pretty? Does it feel mysterious? I've heard good things about Clip Studio Paint for sure. And our teachers all use different programs. I try to use Krita to teach because it's free and anybody can use it, right? There's no barrier to starting because everybody can use it. So I think out of all of the color comps, I'll kind of show you. This is 3, this is 2, this is 1. Let me know which you guys prefer. Let me just move this. I'm gonna move. Let's see. I need something underneath this, right? So if I just go into normal, you can kind of see what I've painted. Pretty rough, right? And let's put this on normal. So you can see the color choices, like if you want to see it as totally abstract, right? This is what it would look like. And then already you can kind of get a sense of the idea for color, right? Zombie, more of like a nighttime. And then the first one is brighter, but I actually like it the most. So let me know which one you like. Let me label it here. So this is C2. Whoops. And C4. C3, C2, C4, C3, or C2. Let me know, guys. Top, middle, or bottom? Middle, all the above. Elise likes the top or the bottom one. Okay. Yeah, the top does kind of remind me of the Northern Lights. It does. It does. But I wonder if I could like make that somehow spookier. You like the bottom? C2? Yeah, C4 is just like visually nice, but C2, maybe C2 is a little bit more ghostly. Yeah, Halloween vibes, I know. Okay, so now that you see my process, right? It's actually, this, you can make a decision before you commit all this time to actually drawing something. So, yeah, let me know which one you like, and then we'll have an hour to actually paint it in. And I'm gonna probably work a little bit smaller, like postcard size, just so that it can be a bit more finished for you guys. Okay, and it's gonna be submission time, guys. So submissions. This month's art challenge is the digital deep dive, which means you can submit anything that you created digitally where you've used new tools, things that you've learned on stream, anything that you haven't done before. This is actually like one of the easiest art challenges to submit for. So submit your digital art deep dive. And you can get your work featured on stream. So let's look at our monthly submissions today. Submission 1. This is by Trix. Trix, love seeing your little doodles. I know you submit a lot to the challenges, so you've had a lot of your work featured. These are a really interesting lineup of characters. It almost reminds me of like The Office, like except it would be with monsters. Pretty funny. Like it a lot. Thank you for submitting. I'd like to feature Tiger. Tiger has been doing some studies on subsurface scattering, which is basically when you put your hand on top of like a flashlight and it looks red because our skin is actually translucent. So subsurface scattering is like a term that 3D renderers or people who work in the entertainment industry, how they describe this type of lighting that is scattered through something that is translucent like skin. And usually it's because skin has blood in it, right? It's usually red, but these are some other color experimentations that you've done, and that's pretty cool looking. Great job. Art is all about experimentation and trying new things, so keep that up in your practice. Where do you submit? You would submit on Discord. So if you join our Discord and head down to the challenge channel, grab the opportunities role when you join the Discord, and you will be pinged anytime we have our monthly challenge, and you'll be able to submit directly on Discord. And last but not least, this is Agent Selton. Hopefully I said that right. Agent Selton. You said you were inspired by, I think this is Star Wars. Let me just see what you said here. This is a really, really cool, very, very cool image that you drew. You said you finished watching the Maul series from Star Wars and you got so obsessed you made an AU of your MCS. Okay, cool. That's cool. And you only use digital texture brushes, which you normally don't use, and you really like the grainy effect of him. I do too. I really, really like how that turned out. The lightsaber feels like it has so much energy. Like even the stuff that you didn't intend, like that texture that's kind of like floating off of his weapon is super cool. Very, very nicely done. Thank you for submitting. Okay, and if you want to submit your artwork for a chance to be featured, join our Discord. And again, it's in the challenges thread. Okie dokie, so let's turn this off. I think I'm gonna go with C4, just because I like the brighter colors, and it was my original intention anyway. But I can easily change the colors around, you know? It's like pretty easy for me to do that if I needed to. So. Yeah, Krita is a really awesome art program. Yeah, unoriginal art is allowed. Well, what do you mean by unoriginal? Like, there's many versions of Spider-Man. I don't think any Spider-Man drawing is original, except for like the OG Spider-Man, right? But you can always do a new take on your favorite characters, and that's definitely allowed. Fan art is definitely allowed as well. You love comics? It's great. Yeah, we definitely have comic stuff on the channel, and we're going to be adding more stuff because we just had some amazing new instructors join us, and so you might be seeing them stream soon. Yeah, Krita is an amazing art program. It really, really is. And the best thing is that it's free. Like, I don't think it, like, it's just so incredible to me how a lot of the programs that I really I didn't have access to when I was a student is now available and free, and it's just incredible. So okay, so here I'm gonna start my final, and let's just get rid of some stuff here. Let's just remove some references that I don't need to make some more room. So the first thing I'm gonna do is actually color in the background. I'm gonna color in the background and kind of make some more room for myself here. So I'm gonna delete a couple of these. Sorry, I'm just trying to organize my workspace here so that I don't lose stuff. Okay, that's gonna be my color palette. I'm gonna move all my swatches a little lower and move this over here. And then I can go back in and go color. Oops. There we go. I kind of liked how it looked darker though, so let's do a darken. Okay. We'll do a color, but I think I want it much, much darker. So I kind of actually liked how it looked without the composition underneath. So I'm just going to put it on normal. Okay, so let's make this a little bit bigger. I don't like the paint bucket tool sometimes because it doesn't fill it in exactly, but I find if you go here and you go fill with foreground color, it's a little bit better. Okay. Last thing is I'm going to adjust the size of this. All right. So this is going to be my background. So I'm just going to do alpha lock on this layer and start to paint in everything else. So now when I'm painting, I'm actually not drawing. I'm going to be just painting. The difference between painting and drawing is painting, I'm thinking in shapes, and drawing, I'm thinking in lines. And so to really kind of make the most of this and to be able to paint it really quickly, I'm just going to show you how I would lay it all in. So I'm going to use like the biggest brush I can possibly find, maybe something that is... I'm going to try a new brush because it is a digital deep dive, right? Let's try a new brush. And I'm going to start painting in the clouds. So going in and adding some of this, right? Some of this mood. Kind of like finding a slightly lighter purple and just I can desaturate everything too. Like at the end, I can definitely desaturate stuff. But for now, I'm just going to use one brush and start to put in some of this texture of the sky. And I feel like I want it to be like more green instead of this pretty blue. Who is it here that said clouds are hard to paint? Was it you, Elise? Oh, and Jack fell down. You posted your art on the challenge channel. That's awesome. Yeah. Great. Well, Josh is going to be streaming part 2 of his Toy Story design. So this Saturday, if you tune in, you might get featured. Oh, Calzoon. Okay, it was you that struggled with clouds? Okay. So here's the thing about clouds, is that they're very special in that, like, there's never a case where they're exactly the same. However, when you draw clouds, the best way to really approach them is to look for shapes and to look for movement and like whether the edges are hard or soft, and then you just kind of paint them in. So instead of thinking to yourself, I'm painting clouds, I'm painting clouds, I'm painting clouds, you want to actually say to yourself, I'm painting like a blurry strip, and it's got a little bit of texture at the top. And then just like try to describe, almost like if you had to describe what it was you're painting to somebody who can paint but who can't see what it is you're seeing. You just want to describe it to yourself. Like, what is it that you're actually painting? Okay, I'm painting a long triangular shape, and it's a little bit textured, a little bit lumpy at the top, but it's more smooth at the bottom, right? Almost like you had to describe it to somebody else who was drawing it or painting it. That's kind of how you want to talk to yourself as you're doing this, because if you just tell yourself, oh, there's a cloud here, right? Like, what is a cloud anyway? It could be anything. It could be a million things. So be very specific with what you see. The more specific you can be, the easier it is for you to, for your brain to kind of see it or visualize it. So I definitely would say, just avoid labeling it as something, because as soon as you label it, then you have this like idea of what it should look like, versus what you see could be very, very different than what something actually looks like, or the idea of what it looks like. Right? Like if I said I was painting clouds, you might look at this and say, like, I don't see clouds. I've never seen green clouds or streaky clouds like this, right? You would immediately reject it. And I think that's what happens a lot when we try to be super almost like high level about what we label things. So here I'm gonna do like a greenish sky. Yeah, like breaking it down. Like closed captioning for an artist. You want to describe it all. except you're subscribing, you're describing it to yourself. Yeah, cloud is where everyone's data is stored. That's true, right? Okay, cool. Oh, Elise, you're the rock struggler. Okay, gotcha. Cool. So, oh, and Groove, you got a cat. That's fun. Oh, I wish I could have a cat. I had a cat. Her name was Helvetica, and she was beautiful. But I became allergic, and couldn't live with her anymore, and it was really, really sad. But she was very well cared for by one of our teachers, who very graciously helped me take care of her. Anyway, congratulations on the cat. That's a really really exciting addition to your family. Okay, cool. So, what? Cat domesticate humans. Yeah, cats are really good at getting what they want, aren't they? Okay, so I used one brush for the cloud. I'm just gonna stamp it here. So you can kind of see what it looks like. This one is called Charcoal Rock Soft. I have never used this brush before in my life, but I used it today because I was like, you know what? It's digital deep dive, so we should definitely use it. Okay, I am not sure how good it's going to be for the water, But basically for the water, if you're feeling lazy, you can just like take the water that's at the top. And I'm not trying to do this because I'm lazy, but I'm just trying to do this to save some time and also show you guys what you can do. So let's say you take this top part and you just go Control C and then Control V. You are copying it, and then you can transform the thing that you copied and just kind of like bring it down a little bit. Remember that the water is going to be somewhat distorted. So you can copy it exactly like this, and I'm just going to call this the C, and then I'm going to paint over it a little bit so it's not super perfect. So you can see a little bit of a difference here. Usually the reflections are not as dramatic as what is being reflected, unless the water is like super clear, but even so there's a little bit of a difference on that horizon. So there you go. And then what I'm gonna do is take what I painted at the top here and then create more of a horizon line difference. So I'm probably just gonna go in remember to lock your layers, or to alpha lock so that you can't paint through it. And then I'm gonna go even brighter here in the horizon. I really like some of this texture that's coming through, so even like making your brush a little smaller. And just making that horizon line a lot more defined. All right. Cool. So that was all done with one brush. Now let's go in and add the shipwreck and the lighthouse. So I'm just going to do that on a separate layer. And let's start to paint in the shipwreck. Let's do the rocks and everything else. So again, because this isn't clipped, I'm just going to create the boundaries with the selection tool so that I don't leave this image. And then just taking my black. Get the feels. Welcome. Is this a charcoal brush? Yeah, I actually used, what is this brush called? Charcoal Rock Soft. It was my first time using it, and it was pretty good. I like it. It was good for skies. Okay, so now I'm gonna take a hard brush, which is Basic 6 Details. And if you want to zoom in to see what it looks like, it's like a flat brush like this. Right, nice and flat like that. And usually when I'm using a brush, I'll kind of zoom in and out because I don't want it to be super, what is it called? Similar. I don't want it to be super similar everywhere. So I'm going to start off by using this purple color, and then start to draw in some of the cliffs in the distance. So if you're working on a new layer, then you can kind of easily erase stuff if you want to keep some of the lighting. on it. So for example, if I wanted some of this green lighting on these cliffs, I can just erase that if I wanted to, right? So let's say I wanted to retain some of the green, I can just remove it later on. I also like how in Krita you can use your brush as an eraser tool, and it can kind of retain the same properties of your brush. Right, so let's say I want to get some of this like shine back on the rock. I can just do that by erasing into it. And then I can get some of that eeriness back. I can always go in and paint stuff later once I figure out my light source. Now, if you're doing cliffs, right, the best thing to do is if you know you're not very good at drawing something like rocks, then find yourself a good reference, because without a good reference, then you're just guessing, and it's way faster to use a reference than it is to guess and try to figure it out, right? It's not very sustainable to just try to do it without reference. Like if you're doing a challenge or something like that, I'm gonna paint this thing without any reference and see how far I get. Like that's cool. I think that's a good exercise to do. But if you're doing a commission or you want to like, you know, do some concept art and figure it out quickly, it's always better to just find a reference so that you don't leave yourself guessing. Especially if you're someone like me and I don't have a perfect photographic memory, right? Then it's much faster for me. And you can kind of see once it's all planned out, it becomes so much faster. Now on this side, I kind of want there to be a bit of the shipwreck that we talked about before. So I'm just going to do a bit of drawing here. Like, how much information do I actually need to show a viewer or to put into this piece to make it look like a shipwreck, right? Like, how much information do I actually need? Maybe it doesn't need a lot. Maybe it just needs a little bit here and there. And like we discussed before, sometimes when the details are not fully figured out, it's even more scary. Right? Even more mysterious. All right. Hey, Mr. Halfsad. Welcome in. Okay. So now I want this boat to kind of be like old enough so that you see holes in it, right? It's kind of like it's deteriorating. So you can kind of be playful and have some more fun imagining what that shipwreck looks like, and just kind of like intentionally leaving some holes. Make it kind of fun. Okay. I do love this idea of a ship graveyard. And if you're drawing along with me, I would love to see you share your work on Discord. So if you followed along in this stream and you want to show me your work, post it to Discord. You're allowed to tag me if you drew along on stream, and I will take a look and send you some thoughts. I would love that. Also gonna, like, if you draw a line or something and it's like too perfect, you can just remove stuff, right, and erase. I do this all the time when I'm painting. I'm like, I draw and then I erase, or I paint it and then I remove it or paint on top of it, right? So there I have my shipwreck. I can add some more stuff in the background if I wanted to a little bit later, but now I'm going to try to get that boat, that lighthouse, the lighthouse in. So let's place that lighthouse. I think in this case it can be, I'm going to experiment with putting it above the horizon line and below the horizon line and see how it looks. I kind of like it above the horizon line because you're looking up at it versus kind of looking down at it. So I just named this layer my foreground. So it has my shipwreck, it has my rocks. And then I'm going to create another layer and I'm going to call it the midground. And I have my sea on a separate layer and my sky on a separate layer. I'm just going to label everything accordingly. Okay. Now, if you kind of think about it, like if you name your layers in terms of where they are in your composition, like if it's in the foreground, midground, or background, and you kind of like just work like that, it's much easier. Especially like for animation, you're gonna have to create elements on different layers and just kind of save them as transparent images so that they can move around independently. And so this is kind of like similar to what I'm doing. So now I'm just gonna draw in the lighthouse, and really I'm just gonna worry about a silhouette where I'm gonna place it and kind of that island shape that I want to put it on. So it's gonna go here, and I'm gonna select my darkest purple. I'll put it. You can kind of see this is like in the distance here. There might be some other rocks that I put in to kind of break up the landscape a little bit. Hey, Mandelscape DA, nice to see you here. Thank you for the compliment, and you're very welcome. We love to share our knowledge and our art lessons free for you guys. And you can thank our wonderful members and students who sign up for classes and paid programs. They are the ones who support the channel so that we can continue doing what we do. So big shout out to our patrons and our students for making it all possible. So there's the light tower. And it's not like anything too special. It's just gonna be in the silhouette. Okay, so we're gonna do this. And now let's light it. Let's light the lighthouse. I had this like super neon green. So anytime you choose a color palette and you want to always think about like, okay, a color palette is good, but it can look very, very different depending on the ratios you put on things, right? What I mean by that is like, if I could use this exact same color palette for something that has a very different mood if I used it with different ratios. So instead of using the green as like a accent color, let's say the majority of my piece was green and I only did the lines in purple, right? It could have a completely different mood. So that being said, you do have to be a little bit more aware of how you use color. It's not just selecting a palette, but also keeping the ratios in mind. Even though I have this selected, I'm going to deselect and use the polygon lasso tool. And I'm just going to create like a beam of light that's kind of going in this direction. This is the great thing about digital is that you can do this, and I'm just holding the shift button so that it can select additional stuff. I'm going to hold that down. Why did it deselect? There you go. So now it has two things selected. Now I'm going to create a separate layer and just call this lighting. And because I'm using digital tools, right, I might as well use these shortcuts. And so this, I love painting within the lasso tool because it really gives me a lot of control. So what I'm going to do is use this green here and start to paint in the light. And I can kind of do it. Let's do it with a, let's do it with a soft brush. Oh no, wait, that's an eraser. Hold on. Where's the soft brush? Oh, I don't like that one. We'll do this one. No, I don't like that one too. That one's too hard. Okay, let's stick with this charcoal rock soft. And I'm just going to give it that beam of light coming through on both sides. I like to paint it in rather than using a tool, because I find that it makes it a little bit more, just a little bit more painterly. Then I'm going to use my eraser. This is a soft eraser tool, and I'm just going to soften up those edges and kind of fade the light out as it fades away from the source. So like I painted it on, and now I'm going to fade it. And this is all manual. And pressure sensitive. Sorry, losing my voice here. Get the Feel says, I really feel like I should start taking the painting classes seriously, but I'm worried that I'm not good enough with technical drawing to do that. That's a legitimate worry, but you can, whether you learn painting first or drawing first, it doesn't matter. I would actually argue that if you did painting before you did drawing, that it would actually help you. Only because I see a lot of people who start with drawing, they rely so heavily online that they kind of forget about shapes. Whereas like some of my students who start off with just painting and like, you know, learn how to draw as they go, sometimes they are actually they actually are able to simplify much more. So I think you can do it all at the same time. All of the skills and everything you learn is transferable, so you don't really need to worry about that at all. Yeah, so let's see how this looks when I deselect it. Now that I deselect, you can see it's kind of digital looking, whereas if I look at the references that are up here, right, you can see how much that light scatters. And so it's actually much, much softer. So what I can do is I can take this layer and I can go in and let's add a blur to it. Let's see if we can add a Gaussian blur and what that would look like. So you can kind of play around with it and see what it would look like. So that's pretty good here. So before I do that, I'm just going to clone this and turn it off so that I have it. Then I'm going to go back and then do the Gaussian blur. I'm going to turn it up. And I like it to about 32. Say okay. Then I'm going to turn on the other one that I did because I want the really sharp edge at the top. And then I'm going to start to erase manually. So I'm going to go in and take my eraser tool and just kind of like erase the top layer so that I get some of the softness, but I don't lose that sharp edge. And then I can blur it manually. So where's the blur tool here? Smudge tool. And I can just kind of like blur it myself. And I can see that I need to make the background, like I need to make that sky much, much darker in order for that light to actually show through and have impact, right? Right now, like it looks fine. However, it's kind of, the sky is kind of robbing the light of the mystery. So then you have to make adjustments, right? So for the sky, let's see what we can do with levels. Let's see if we can make it darker. That makes it lighter. This makes it darker. Let's see how dark we can go without losing some of that color intensity. Okay, so we'll do this. Okay, then the other thing I can do is I can desaturate the sky. So let's just duplicate the layer so we don't lose it. And then if you go Control U in Krita, it opens up this HSV adjustment layer. And then you would go in and just like tone down the saturation. So you can see if I tone down the saturation, it's going to remove all of the color from the sky, right? And then everything will, like the light will look a little bit brighter. So I can play, you can also play around with the lightness here. So if I wanted some of that lightness back, but I also wanted the sky to be less saturated, I can do that here. And go okay. And then I can do the same thing with the sea. Make a copy. And then go in and adjust this. I'm going to bring the saturation down. And then hit okay. Okay. So you can kind of see the before and after. Here's the before, here's the after. Now everything is a little bit desaturated and it allows the light of the lighthouse to really shine. Crazy Dash is asking, what can you do to get into a habit of drawing? Just draw stuff you like. Like just draw stuff you like and come to our streams. We stream twice a week, so you have 2 opportunities to learn with us completely free. So come to our streams and draw along with us. Just having somebody that is there keeping you accountable makes a huge difference. And that's why we do this. Okay, so now with the mid-ground, now what I can do is go in and add some more details. So you can see, like, once you do a fair bit of planning, it's actually not too bad, like not too hard to actually turn this into a finished looking painting. It's not too bad. All right, since this lighthouse is backlit, it's going to be pretty much in the darkness, but it's going to cast some green shadows. So I'm going to choose this green over here first. And see if I can add a little bit of detail in the lighthouse and if that would be distracting or not. Right now I'm just like really experimenting and kind of seeing what type of texture I could actually get away with. Right? I don't want to use like my lightest shadow first, or not my lightest shadow. I don't want to use my lightest color first because that might be a little bit too much. So I'm just kind of adding some details, but making sure that I go slowly. Okay. If you join our Discord and you want to find other people to draw, then you can grab the Ping Me role and you can hop into one of the VCs. There's always art nerds who are drawing, who are probably thinking the same thing, like, how do I find somebody to draw along with me? I would love to find somebody who would draw with me, you know? So now I can start to add some highlights. And let me delete all of that because I want to use a textured brush. Let's use a textured brush here. So if you use a textured brush and you're like, oh, that's kind of too much texture, then you can always dial it back. Like you can always blur it, right? But because rocks, even rocks that are slippery, can kind of be blurry, but they also have rocky texture. So I'm trying to like get just the right amount and then adjust it manually. Yeah, drawing buddy. Exactly. I think a drawing buddy can really, really help keep you accountable. That or classes. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I always tell myself, oh, I'm not gonna buy that gym membership because I can just watch videos on YouTube and do lessons, you know, on YouTube. And I tell myself that, but guess what? I never do the lessons. Whereas if I pay for a gym membership, I'm going to make sure that I go because I paid for it, you know? Sometimes it's like, sometimes we almost like we need to, we need to actually, commit to something by spending money, at least with me. I know that if I don't do it, then I'm not gonna take it seriously, or I'm not gonna actually do it. So sometimes that helps. It really depends. I feel like nobody likes going to the gym. Well, I'm not going to say nobody, but I don't like going to the gym. So that's why I just don't do it. But drawing, on the other hand, drawing is really fun. So I would always, you know, I'll always draw. So that to me is not work, right? That to me is just fun. So I think it could be a little bit different. I'm also going to be removing some of this light off that shipwreck because it's almost like a little bit too far. There we go. Now I kind of want the sky to be a little bit darker because even though I left it less saturated, I still feel like it could be darker. Yeah, nowadays, you know what, guys? You have access to everything you ever need to learn online. Just like this, like you're able to whatever it is you want to learn, you can just Google a tutorial and you'd be able to find it. And we live in such an amazing time where we can actually do that. Whereas like if you tried to do it before, you know, that it was impossible. So on the other hand, though, the caveat to that is now that everything's easily accessible, sometimes we feel so paralyzed. It's like, I don't know what to do next. Or we're going through kind of like a mistrust, right? We don't actually trust a lot of the sources or the things that we see. Or we never end up acting on them because they feel like it's overwhelming. So we kind of have the opposite problem now. And I feel like as artists, the best way to learn is by finding an accountability partner or signing up for classes so that you know exactly what to do in the right order and you have somebody telling you, okay, do this first, then do this, then do this, right? A lot of the times we just need that little bit of human guidance and being able to kind of see how other people interpret things versus like how you would do it. That also you know, can help you make better decisions because you're actually seeing like, oh, we're doing the same project, but this person in my class did it this way. And this person in my class, you know, interpreted it like this. And so it just can be more fun and more enlightening when you do it with others. A lot of amazing shared ideas happen in our classes. And if you're higher level and you already know how to do some of this, and you can join us in mentorship classes. Our mentorship classes, we actually do more critique. And we help you finish your individual projects. So now I'm just adding some adjustments here. And like, for example, that shipwreck, I have to move to the foreground, right? I actually have to move the shipwreck to the foreground. And then I'm also going to distort some of the waves. So this lighthouse, the light on the lighthouse is going to cast some movement on the water. And I'm going to try something here. Okay, so I'm going to go to my sea layer. And I'm going to use the this tool, this is the Distort Move. What is this one? Distort Grow. Distort Shrink. Distort Move. Okay, I'm going to use the Distort Move tool and I'm going to see what it does to my water. It's not doing anything. Ha! It's not doing anything. Okay. Well, that was fun. Okay, I'm going to take this color and I'm going to create a new layer and I'm going to start to paint in some of the waves. Remember that waves in the distance are a lot smaller than waves in the foreground. You're jealous of the ease of digital? You know what? Focus on... I would also argue that traditional is going to make a huge comeback. Because I've seen a lot of digital artists do incredible things digitally, but then they have a really hard time with traditional. Especially when it comes to like color theory, mixing colors, and all of that stuff. So I definitely say that if you don't really do traditional art, go back to doing it, because it's just going to make your digital stuff better. It will 100% make your digital art better. So I also over highlighted, which I'm always like, never over highlight. And then I do it. That's okay. I can recognize that I do this and fix it. I'm just going to take some of this lighter blue now and kind of like put it into the background with the water. And I noticed that the clouds, especially like right here, it's so kind of similar to the light that I want to redo it. Traditional looks so gorgeous in animation. Yeah, totally. Sometimes like I'll just rewatch a like an animation that's hand done. I think that the last one I watched was Wolf Walkers. That one was so good. And Jungle Book is always a good one. I think Wolf Walkers was done traditionally. Anyone seen it? It's so good. It's so beautiful. If you haven't, I would highly recommend. But hey, I really like this brush, guys. The charcoal rock soft. Pretty solid for painting clouds. You know, like, not bad. Not bad. Hand animation is truly special, and it's so sad that it's dying. It really is dying. So let's make sure that as artists we preserve those skills, right? Don't rely too much on shortcuts and tools. Like, obviously, if you're creating something for a client or like it's commercial art, then it's fine to you know, do things quickly or rely on digital tools, but once you rely too much on them, then you don't know how to do it yourself, and then it, you know, then it kind of defeats the purpose of learning the art in the first place. So don't lose those skills. Keep painting, keep doing things by hand. Keep experimenting. Don't lose your innate special gift. Okay, so I think it's looking pretty good. I think I need to... I'm almost done here. Yeah, stop motion. Oh my gosh. Yeah, like Wallace and Gromit and Chicken Run and those. I hope with AI, the hand done stuff is gonna make a comeback, because I do not want to see slop like anymore. There's just too much of it. Even like super high definition superhero movies, I feel like they're all the same. I don't know about you, but like I was really into superhero movies like Marvel and DC stuff, like when it first came out, like the old, when they had to do effects by hand, you know, and then they started making so many different versions of these superhero movies that are just so overly perfect that I just don't, I'm not interested anymore. Like I feel like I've seen it too many times. It's like regurgitated too many times. So just like stop going to see superhero movies, which is sad, you know? And then like I watched some of like the old ones, like even like Batman Returns, like the old school ones where it wasn't all done with the computer. Okay, foreground. Yeah, like I'm so sick of seeing a lot of that stuff. And I hope the studios will invest in I hope the studios will invest more in traditional talent. Can you imagine when like even the actors in them don't need to act in movies anymore? They just need to kind of license out their face. Ugh. We're not even gonna have real actors anymore. Terrible. There was actually a Black Mirror episode about that. I don't know if you guys have seen Black Mirror, but it's such a good show. That is a really creative show. Yeah, The Thing, I know, and like the Tim Burton Batman movies, those would the nobody has, and like there's no AI that can replace Tim Burton's genius. And that's right, Mr. Huff said, if you try to appeal to everyone, you appeal to no one. Exactly. Exactly. I know, it's like the higher definition stuff, it leaves nothing to the imagination. Right? It's like all there. It's just like too shiny and perfect for my liking. Like I want to see some grittiness. I want to see some like lines and I think that's just human behavior and human nature. We get sick of seeing, or we get bored of stuff very easily, just as fast as we you know, just as fast as we get obsessed with things, we also get really bored with things. So okay. Okay, I'm gonna bring back this list that you guys helped me put together. Where is that list? Where are my notes at? Yeah, let's turn this off.
And I should group everything in here. So I should group my composition. Group. Quick group. And I'm going to call this art. Let's turn this off. Okay. We did Nightscape, Ocean, Lighthouse. The mood was... I wanted the mood to be bright, but also mysterious. Strangely calm water, dark blues, purples. I think we got everything. We didn't get the Loch Ness Monster, but we got the ship graveyard. Reflections of things that aren't there. I love this idea, but I think I would need a separate stream on reflections. But that's a good topic. Very good topic. An evil lighthouse. I also really like that idea of maybe like the lighthouse having an evil eye. I think I need to think a little bit more on that, but I think for everything that we talked about, I'm pretty happy with this piece. I mean, it's like rough, but it at least it has a lot of the, like it has the big idea, and it has the mood. And to me, that's really what matters. So, thank you guys for all of your really great ideas and for helping me with this piece. I had a lot of fun. I'm not going to put a moon or anything in there because I want the lighthouse to really capture all of that. And please don't zoom in, because when you zoom in, you start to see all of the stuff that shouldn't be there. So if I wanted to give it an evil eye, let's see if I just kind of change the shape. Let's see. What if I change the shape here? Thanks, Mandelscape. Thanks for being a Faye fan. Funny, you can actually grab that role, and anytime, if you join our Discord and you grab the Faye fan rule, every time I'm live, I'll ping you. Or every time there's an opportunity, I'll ping you. Okay, let's go in to the mid-ground here. I'm just experimenting here. I want to see if I can make... What if I did put an evil eye in here? Like, is that too literal? I feel like that might be too literal. What if... I don't know why I really like this evil eye idea, but I don't want to make it too obvious either, right? Because then it's not as interesting. So what if we gave it... What if I took this dark color and I just kind of made it look like a snake eye? You know, just like a little bit of a... I don't know if that makes it better or worse. I feel like less is more. Maybe that's better. I don't know. Let me know if it needs it or not, because I feel like it could be distracting, but it's also like, oh, what's that? So these are the ways you can kind of experiment and see. Like I said, a lot of the times things are scarier when they're left to the imagination instead of rendered out in detail. And last but not least, let's add a little bit of texture to this. A little bit of like brick, maybe. Yeah, don't look at it too closely. There we go. Any last finishing touches? I could put a little bit of mist on the water. But I feel like I added too much detail to the water, and I might want to actually simplify it a little bit. So let's go in with this is not doing anything. Why is it not doing anything? Why? Oh, it's on my copy layer. That's why. Here, I knew it. I knew I was going to draw on the wrong layer somewhere. Paint layer 2. Okay, that's where it is. Water detail. That's why I can't find stuff when I need it. I actually didn't draw on the wrong layer. I think this is the first time where I actually didn't draw on the wrong layer in the entire history of my digital streams. There's a day for everything. I think I added too much detail to the rocks, so let's just get experimental here. Let's get some. I'm using a rake brush, and just so you can see what the rake brush does, it actually distorts some of the texture so that it actually looks like it was done with an oil brush. Isn't that cool? Super cool. A good way to experiment with texture. Okay, hey, Doodle YouTuber. You are so late. Yeah, you are, but that's okay. You can always watch the VOD after this. I was just messing around with some of the tools I have at my disposal. And here I'm messing around with the rake brush. I've always wanted to use the rake brush. And never really had a good opportunity. I'm not saying that it like is actually working for what I'm doing right now, but but I'm giving it a try anyway, just to kind of see how far I can actually carry some of these shadows. All right, folks. Well, there you go. Here is the final painting. You guys requested this mysterious lighthouse. So let's open up that poll and show you guys again. If you want to vote in our polls, you can subscribe to the channel, and you'll be, if you also join our Discord and grab the live streams role, I will ping you every time we have a poll. So you guys wanted to see a mysterious lighthouse at sea? You got it. Thank you for subscribing and thank you for tuning in. Next Monday, I actually have a Fix It stream. Next Monday, I will be fixing your portrait art. And if you haven't had a chance to submit yet, I'm going to put the link to do that in the chat right here. So if you can get your submissions in about 24 hours in advance, then you'll have a chance to see me fix your portraits. So that's next Monday. This Saturday, Josh is going to be doing part 2 of a Toy Story inspired character design stream. If you caught his stream on Saturday, he did a really cool character design, also filled with lots of details that were given to us by our wonderful audience who was joining live. So thanks so much. Again, if you want personalized feedback on your artwork or portfolio guidance, that's exactly what we do in our mentorship and VIP programs. So you can check that out on our website. And we also stream twice a week to help you learn your art fundamentals. And if you want that accountability, personalized feedback, and career guidance, join us on Discord or become a member. You can also try our classes on School for free. You can, there's a 7-day free trial where you can attend my classes, unlimited classes for a week before you pay anything. All right, so check that out. Thanks, guys. Thanks again. And we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.